Building a pop-up for your website can seem kind of like a daunting task. Like, why is it so hard to get a sign-up form up on a website? If you're just getting started in your email marketing, one of the first steps you'll need to do is get a pop-up live on your website, because people signing up for your pop-up then get into your email marketing and then you're able to convert them. So having a pop-up, an effective one, up on your website is huge. So in today's video, I actually have a live client example that I'm gonna walk through. We have a design that we're thinking of. We wanna get it built in Klaviyo and live on the site. So follow along and let's get building. Okay, so I'm first in Figma here, which our lovely web designer here has designed an idea of what our pop-up could look like. Now, you don't have to do this step, but it can be really helpful to kind of visualize the look you're going for, because it can be a tad overwhelming when you're just inside the pop-up builder and not sure how to make it look good. So we have a few steps here. So you can see we have this first screen here where we're actually having that first initial pop-up. Hello sunshine, want 20% off. They can click yes and go to the next screen. Then we have a pop-up here, a second step that's going to collect the email address, and then asking if we can collect their SMS, and then a final thank you screen. Now, optional, you could potentially just have that email address sign up on the first step, but in this particular example, we're just going to go with what our web designer has recommended, try to get it built as closely as we can to this, because it's not going to be 100% as we want it here in Figma, but we're going to go through the steps, try to build this as close to this example as possible. So let's go jump over into Klaviyo. Now that I'm in Klaviyo, I'm over in the sign up form section here. So sign up form, and then in the top right, we're going to go ahead and create a form. So you're going to see a lot of pre-built options, and honestly, a lot of these are great. So if you're really pressed for time, you have like minimal resources, you can definitely use these out of the box ones. But we're going to go through the steps of building one from scratch. So we're going to go over to the right and create a new form, and I'm going to call this, main website pop-up. And then you need to select what list you want to send it to. So in this one, I'm going to do our default master list, which is the email list. And then for form type, I'm going to go with a pop-up. For now, I'm going to leave that piece off, but you can always include a teaser, and I'll show you, what that looks like. But in this particular example, since we're just following the guidelines here of our designer, then we're going to leave it off for now. So we're going to click save and design. So now that we're in, you can see it's kind of shadowing the background there of what our actual website looks like and how the pop-up will appear. Let's go back into our reference design. So we can see here that we have a default color in the background. So let me zoom in a bit here. So over here on the right, I can see that we're going off of this dark green color. So I'm going to start there first in Klaviyo. So over here in styles, I'm going to go over to background color and go ahead and apply that green. And I have here an image that we're going to lead with up at the top. So I'm just exporting that and getting that ready to plug into the pop-up. So over here in your add blocks, this is where you can drop in the different building blocks of your pop-up. So I'm going to pop in an image here up at the top and go ahead and add this in. So you can see it popped in really, really small. So we're going to go ahead and just delete the width here. And let's go for 600 for now. Yeah, we might make that. Actually, yeah, 600. I think that might actually be the max with ours, because right now the sizing of our pop-up is set to a particular width, which we might increase. So we'll leave it like that for now. I also like to apply alt text to an image, helps with accessibility, readability of your website, just with like that coding piece to it. So alt text, I'm just going to put sunny within bright mind. So as you can see here, we actually also have custom fonts, which very likely that your brand has this as well. So I'm going to show you how we go about getting this installed into Klaviyo, because we want it to be matching, right? We want when someone sees this pop up, the font to match from the website to the pop-up. And in this particular design, we're using this Herbic font. So I'm going to jump back over to Klaviyo and let's get this uploaded. In Klaviyo, in the images and brand section, you're going to have a section called fonts. And it's highly likely that the custom font that you're using is not going to be available as a Google font. Google fonts are going to be very default. Like, for example, let's just check Hubric. It is not in there. Make sure I'm spelling it out. Herbrick. It's not in there. So we need to get it uploaded in. So you can see over here we have an import font. So the easiest way to import a font is to actually go to the website and look at the code. You basically need this hyperlink, this .woff hyperlink that will then import it into your website. So with Sunny Within, let's head to the web page. We're going to go and inspect the site. And then here up at the top, we're going to have sources. I'm just going to expand this a bit. And then I'm just going to refresh it one more time to see the full load in. So in our sources tab, I can see the CDN, fonts, Georgia Pro, but I'm having trouble finding the actual Hervik font that we're looking for. So if I go over into network, I can kind of see a laundry list of assets and things that are on the website. And when I scroll down, I see our Hervik font right here, which is what I need. So I'm going to right click this one and go ahead and copy that link actually over here on the right. We'll just grab it from right here. So it says request URL. We're going to copy that. And then in our branding area, I'm just going to go Hervik. Keep double checking how it's spelled. Hervik. Yes. And this looks like it's a regular, meaning like it's not bold, it's not light, it's kind of in the middle. So I'm going to go with that and do normal. And then we're going to paste in that link. So Hervik.regular. It should be a .wof file or a WOFF2 font file. You also need to select a fallback. So a lot of times if you try to use these custom fonts in your emails, it's not going to work. Maybe Apple Mail might deliver it, but for the most part, most inboxes will default you to a safe font, a fallback font. So we're going to select Helvetica, it's kind of a go-to, and we'll add that one in. We also have Hervik regular italic. So I'm going to go back in and actually edit our Hervik one here, edit it, and we're going to add a variant. And this is going to be normal, but we're going to say it's italic. So that way we have both in there. And then let's see if there's another font. We have this FT Regola New. So while I'm in here, I'm just going to get all their fonts uploaded in. That way, if we ever need to make changes, things like that, extra headlines, we have all those fonts inside. So with this one, we're going to go with Regola, normal, Helvetica, and this is our regular. And then we also have our bold here, normal. So we'll grab our bold link, paste that in, add one more variant, which is the semi-bold. So we'll paste that one in, semi-bold, normal, add font. So now we have both. Okay, so now going back to our actual pop-up, let's start getting this plugged in. All right, so we're back in. Let's go ahead and go into our styles here. So I want to go ahead and apply those fonts that we were working with. So that way we have everything kind of set. So with our input here, I'm going to come in and use our Regola font, normal. And then here for our actual text block here, we're going to change this obviously, but I just want to go ahead and apply our font, which is our Hervik normal here. So going back to our actual design, we're going to go ahead and copy this text here and normal. So I got this pasted in here. We definitely need to increase that and we will make this white. We actually don't need this piece here and we don't need our opt-in because we're going to do a second step to this. So with our button here, we're going to come back into our design. Let's see. So we're using a gradient here. Here's the issue. We're not going to be able to do a gradient within our Klaviyo button. So we're going to go with one of the more dominant colors in here. So we're going to stick with kind of that lighter orange. It matches the rest of the website. We'll just keep with that because doing a gradient, can't do it. So there's things here our designer is kind of looking for that we're going to have to make some sacrifices. So a gradient won't be doable here, but we'll make do. Okay, back into our form, I'm going to go ahead and apply our orange color. And then here we're using, it looks like, Regola New. So in our font here, going to drop it down, go to Regola, bold, and let's make sure we grab our text. Wow, yes, please! Exclamation mark. Now our button needs to be rounder on the corner. So here at the button style area, we're going to increase Let's do it by 40 to see where that gets us. That looks pretty good. We could also look at our design here because you're going to see there's going to be a radius here. So 40.22 if we wanted to be exact. So 40 might not even accept a 0.22. No, just 40. So we'll leave it 40. My guesstimate was pretty close. So just going to increase the height on this one a little bit more and also increase our text size a little bit more. It looks like we are at a 14 in the design, but there's going to be some differences between that because I think a 14 might be too small for this example. And then same with our design here. Might bump this one up just a tad more. We also have a no thanks block, but in order to do that, you actually can't hyperlink text to that piece of it. So we're going to go ahead and do a button, but we're going to make it transparent. So that way it has a clickable action. So that's a way to get around having like an action, like a click of like no thanks. You could do that with a button. So we're just going to make this completely transparent and the button text is going to be no thanks and the action will close the form. We're just going to make this a bit smaller and making sure to change our text to Regola. And I'm just doing some cleanup pieces here. I'm going to edit this step name to be, just naming this next step here to first step offer, renaming that. And then we also have our little pop-up area here. This actually isn't in our mock-up, but it is something very important. You want to have easy accessibility for somebody to close out. I think with this particular button, we can change it to maybe match more of their actual colors here. So I think with this one, I'd prefer if we kind of reduce the size just a tad more. We still want it clickable, but I kind of want it to live within the side of that button there. And we'll leave it at that for now. So you can see we have our pieces here. I think there's maybe some little changes we can do, like adding in a bit more of a buffer between our button and text. And yeah, I think we're as close as we can get for this first part, our first step. So we'll go ahead and move into the next step, which is going to be our actual opt-in. So to make this super easy, we're just going to clone this step. So that way our background, our fonts, our everything are basically already installed for us. So I'm going to clone that and I'm just going to call this second step email opt-in. Clone that. So now on our second step, which moving over here is going to be exactly the same with the picture at the top, but we're just going to change the text here. So I'm going to copy that back into our form. We're going to change this, which I know it's hard to see weirdly. You can't see the background here, but we're going to paste this in and then change this to Regola and make sure our text is white. And we might bump up this a little bit more to 18. And then we have our email opt-in. So there's going to be a few differences here. So you can see we have our email address here with an arrow. This particular functionality isn't really within Klaviyo. We're still going to need a button. So I'm going to be adjusting this one slightly. So we're going to keep our button here, but we're going to change up some of the pieces to it. So we're going to do subscribe now. We can get rid of our no thanks here. And we have another text block here where we're talking about privacy. So I'm going to add that in below here, paste that in, make it center, apply our font, white, and then probably make it a little bit smaller. Because we don't want it drawing the eye too much. It's good to have, but you don't want it to be like the center of the show here. And then we now need our submission button. So I'm going to drop in an email input here, and we're just going to say this one is email. And then we're a tad limited on some of our design elements here. I'm going to remove the show label and form. And then with here, we say your email address. So we'll adjust that to say your email address, technically lowercase. So I'll adjust that. Your email address. There we go. So as far as what we're looking to do here for our block style, like I said, we're pretty limited. So let's go back into our style tab and then we can see our form styling here. So I have border style. Let's go ahead and make the radius similar to our other one. We're going to do 40, which actually for our other one, I totally missed. We have rounded corners on our pop-up. So here I went ahead and applied a 40 corner radius. Make sure it's applied to the other one as well, which it is. So now we have that rounded look. So totally missed that in looking at the design, but now have that applied. Okay, back to our styling though. So for our actual input text fields, we're going to come in And let's see, with our text spacing here, we kind of want to make it that green color like we have in our background. So I'm going to copy that, and let's see if we can get this applied to our background color. We want our border color to be white. Again, radius, we'll apply a 40. And then let's apply white to our actual text color and label color and placeholder color. There we go. So we're looking pretty close. We want to definitely increase some of the padding here, which actually will be back in our styling. So let's see, input height. Let's make this increased. Looking pretty good. Let's see with our form. All right, so we're pretty darn close with our design here. So just looking back at our piece, we have this, we have our thing, pop-up number 2. We're looking pretty darn good. So we have our second step here. We can kind of, mess around a little bit more with formatting, a little bit of spacing, but pretty darn close. Did have to keep a subscribe now button, which is fine. I think with this one in particular, I might adjust the text font here because I want it to be a little bit larger just looking at the two next to each other here. So let's just increase that a little bit more. Perfect. Okay, fantastic. So pretty darn close. Now let's go to our third step. So same thing, I'm going to come over here and clone, and third step, SMS. And with our third step, very similar. Actually, we really won't have to change too much, except for there's a few things missing in here, which is our SMS privacy. So you have to have that piece to it. So we'll make some changes. We're going to do, can we text you? Let's go back into our form. We're going to drop in that text block, paste it in, make that center. Let's go to our header font, which is going to be the Herbic. We'll make this white. Perfect. Can we text you? Let's copy this text here. We'll paste, same thing. Go over to Argola, make that white. Let's double check our font size here. It's 18. I just want to make sure everything is consistent as it can be. 18, fantastic. So back to this. Okay, your number. So I'm going to leave this email block here because I want to add an SMS block and I want to make sure I have the same exact look and formatting. So just to make it a little bit easier, we're going to drop in phone number, and you can see it's going to add in this text here. We're going to drop it down to the bottom and then we'll make our edits to that. So with phone number, I just want to make sure we're doing the same exact settings here. So we'll do phone, don't need the label, not required. And we actually are formatting carried over just nicely. So, because we've applied the styling to our full pop-up, so don't even have to worry about that. I'm gonna delete that email block, and let's see, we'll put join SMS. And then we can talk to the designer after if they want to change up any of the actual wording here, but we'll leave that there. We have disclosures here that you need to edit. So I will end up editing that once we get this baby live. But for now, we have the default disclosures here. Definitely want to have this in. Actually, even publishing it without that and collecting it, Klaviyo is going to give you errors. But I am going to make this a tad smaller. And I think having this privacy piece here is a little overkill. So we'll delete that for right now. Okay, and then our text link also can be Regola 13. And I think we can stick to our orange color for our link text. Fantastic. So now we have our SMS all set and ready. We're on to the final step, okay? The home stretch, doing one more confirmation screen. So we're going to clone this to keep some of our settings here. Confirmation. So now we have our confirmation page. So here's the issue. We're looking to do a very aesthetic background here where we're kind of having this imagery. There's an issue with that. So now that we've cloned this one over, I could come over to background image and technically I could drop this in. But the issue is that it's going to apply it to every single other block. Right now, you can't really control that piece from appearing everywhere, which is quite annoying. So we're going to have to just keep this pretty simplified. So I am going to actually, let me delete this one because I want to come back and just clone this. We're going to just keep our gal at the top. Keep it really simple. Keep it cohesive. We'll confirmation. We'll get rid of obviously our submission blocks. Piece here, and we'll keep our thanks for subscribing, of course. We'll make that Hubric again, 45 white, and our text here, which we will make Regola 18. Perfect. I think what we could definitely do though is add in a bit more spacing on this one. So with our text piece here, I'm going to come over to the bottom and add in some space right here, which a lot of times I'll actually, if I need to kind of really spread this out, you can add in a text block and then kind of remove all the text, and then you can just do spaces. That way you can get the sizing that you want. Because for some reason, there's not a spacer block in here, which they need to work on, but it's fine. For the thanks for subscribing, I'm just going to add in a bit more spacing for that one as well. Okay, so there's our confirmation. Not as aesthetic and pretty as this one, but until we can control the actual background imagery of this one, like solo by itself, we're kind of stuck. But there we have it. We have our step 1 going into step 2. We also want to make sure we're submitting to the right form. So you can see this one goes to email list, and then we go to the next step, and then we're here with SMS, which this one we're going to put him into the SMS list, and then into our confirmation, thanks for subscribing. So we have all 4 steps all set and ready. The next thing, the last thing that you need to do is targeting behavior. So my rule of thumb is not to show your pop-up immediately. It affects bounce rate. It's just not a good user experience. So I go based on rules. I do after a time delay, and I do about 15 seconds. It's a bit long for some brands, so you could pull that back. But for this particular brand, they really want to go with a non-intrusive experience. And then we can go and say, hey, if they've scrolled 45% of that page, then we can do it. Also, if maybe they didn't do those scroll or hang around, I do it also after 3 pages. So 15 seconds, 45%, or 3 pages, then we show it. And then with the frequency, I'd say don't show them again until after 15 days, if not longer, if it's been dismissed, but we'll go about 15 days. Desktop and mobile. So that's one piece to this that we haven't even looked at yet. Mobile view. So just taking a look at it off the bat, pretty decent on mobile, a little bit of a scroll. So I think once I get this launched, I'm going to look at mobile interaction. If mobile's a bit low, then I may duplicate this one, make adjustments only for mobile. So if you are in that route and you're actually like, okay, this is just for desktop, you can uncheck mobile and keep it off. But for now, we'll leave it on mobile, see what the stats are, and let it go from there. Also on the targeting side, we don't want to show this to existing Klaviyo profiles because, hey, they're already on a list. It's just, why even have that? So removing that piece. And then if we wanted to get specific, we could put in URL parameters, things like that, but we don't really need that piece. We're all good. We're going to go back to display, and let's go ahead and set this puppy up and go through the experience. So I'm going to hit publish here, and you can see it has some alerts here. So we have our disclosure, which I need to actually generate fully here. Okay, now that we're all set on our pop-up, let's go ahead and get this live. So I'm going to come over here to publish, and immediately we're live. So I'm going to go over to an incognito window and head to the Sunny Within website. So let's see if after a 45% scroll, our pop-up appears. Great. Looks good. We could even adjust it if we wanted to maybe kind of appear off to the side. I think I might shrink this exit button just a tad more, but let's go through the steps. Wow, yes, please. We're on our next step. So I'm going to go pay in Fox at Sparkbridge Digital, subscribe now, and then I'll put in my phone number. You don't need to see this part. Join SMS. And thanks for subscribing. So we are all set. We've tested our pop-up. It looks good. We're happy with it. And then when we go back into Klaviyo, let's double check that our profile has shown up. And there we are. I can see my profile. I can see my steps. I see I scribed. I put in a fake phone number, so it failed to deliver the automated SMS, which is fine. But overall, we completed everything. Things are coming over and we're all set. Our pop-up is now live. All right, so we have our pop-up. We got it live. Hopefully that was super helpful if you just wanted to see going through the steps, how to get a design into action in Klaviyo. Super fun building that with you guys. If you need help with your pop-up or your emails or automation, strategy, design, any of those pieces, I'd love to talk. There's a link down below for you to reach out, book a call with us, and I'd be happy to talk more about how we can help with your email marketing. Good luck out there building your next awesome pop-up. And until the next video, guys, I'll see you in the inbox.